Today, on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, the 18-foot Boston Whaler project starts to come together in the rigging bay at MCU.
We're a little behind schedule on, so I really got to step up and get this thing moving.
Florida Sportsman boating editor George LaBonte joins Ren Stanley in his one-off skiff for a day of flats fishing out of Naples, Florida.
He did this entire boat from start to finish by himself. The layout looks exactly the way I would like to have a boat to do just what he does with it.
And Brian meets with Dave Osgood to discuss performing a complete restoration on his 20-foot Shamrock.
This boat is a complete abomination. We need to totally de-rig it, totally strip it, take it completely apart.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
All right, so we've got Michelle's Whaler that's finally out of the paint shop. Boy, let me tell you what, that took a lot of work. There was tons of hull fare that went into that job. The boat is looking awesome. It's ready for Steve to start putting it together. Michelle decided to reuse the old F-150 because it's in such good shape. I gave her a phone call and I talked her into doing all new control components and gauges. It's gonna give that boat a nice new feel. And that way when she gets in it, she's able to experience a new boat instead of feeling like she's on a boat that just got a little bit of fixing up.
Okay, I just got this 18-foot Whaler. I've already started on it. We're a little behind schedule on it, so I really got to step up and get this thing moving. I'm working on my dash layout now, and Brian stepped up and helped me a lot. He gave me this beautiful blueprint to lay out everything for me on this dash. So that's something to go by. It ain't to the millimeter, inch, or square or anything like that, but I'll take care of that. Checked all my measurements, laid it out, squared everything up, got everything laid out to where I want it to be, and then I started cutting my holes. And usually I'll go a little smaller on my holes because I want everything to fit nice and tight, and a lot of times it's a little too small, but nothing a file won't take care of. But I'm getting everything fit nice and tight and get all that done at once. That way then I can come back and just dry fit everything and step back and look at it. After I dry fit, knowing everything's fitting correctly, I'll remove it, then I'll start installing one piece at a time and really make this dash look nice like a brand new boat.
So Steve started with all the cutouts in his dash. I actually gave him a layout of exactly what I wanted and I drew it all out and it really started to come together. Once I saw all the components getting installed, it's really starting to look like something now. Now, these guys need to get the engine installed on the back of the boat. Typically, it takes two guys because you need someone to run the forklift. But lately, we've been having some issues with Dave and Steve with wondering where the motor's going to go, and they're back there like banging their heads together. I'm not going to be around, so I hope they can figure out the fact that there was already holes in the back of the transom of the boat, and the motor that came off is going back on. So it should be really easy for these guys to figure out where that motor needs to go. There shouldn't be any issues.
So we're ready to put this engine on the Whaler. I'm getting Dave to assist me in this project here. I've already got the mounting holes re-drilled because the glass shop filled the holes where the old engine was, and Brian's all worried that we're going to get it in the wrong place, but no. We can figure this out. We don't need him here. Dave knows how to handle it.
Slow and steady. Steve taught me when I first got here. I'd never been on one, so he was nice enough to show me the ropes on that.
And I taught Dave because I'm the best forklift driver.
Yes. The best.
In the United States. I'll challenge anybody. I can pick a nickel up with a forklift. Okay,
Five-time national forklift champion. This guy. I don't think it was in the budget to paint the motor, but we have Yamaha paint that's made to touch up your motor when you do scratch it, and went ahead and just did a little touch-up on there to try to help it out. Make it look a little better than what it was because the boat is beautiful. So it deserved it. So.
Yeah, we didn't need the painters to do that.
No, we didn't need Mike and
because
crew, so.
All the instructions are right on the can. You know, they say everything.
I happen to have a can of it right here. We just simply followed the instructions right here on the back of the can, and we were able to get that done in an efficient time and I mean, we give Mike credit. I mean, the guy can make a boat run without us rigging it or putting a motor on it, right?
Yeah, you see, make Mondo run. But it went smoothly. We had no problems getting this engine back on in its original spot, but I still like to double check because who knows, that boat could have came in, the engine could have been too low, it could have been too high. Who knows, I never ran the boat, so I don't know. So we've got the engine back on and I think she's perfect.
When we return, FS Boating editor George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Ren Stanley aboard his custom-built skiff in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Fiberglass Florida. Premium products, wholesale prices.
Fiberglass Florida is a locally owned and operated company with locations in Rockledge and Stuart, Florida. Our knowledgeable staff will help you select from our diverse selection of fiberglass materials by the yard or by the roll. Epoxy, vinyl ester, and polyester resin, as well as high-density core materials. All grip paint in unlimited custom colors. Home to Open Water Concepts, a certified sea deck fabricator specializing in fully customizable kits to suit your project needs. Fiberglass Florida. Premium products, wholesale prices.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman Boating editor George LaBonte, as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
This week, we're heading over to Naples, Florida to meet Captain Ren Stanley. Ren's an Everglades City fishing guide who had an idea for a boat that would be a perfect guide boat for him. That started as a sketch, turned into a model turns into a mold, and the mold turned into a boat. He did this entire boat from start to finish by himself. I can't wait to see it.
How about it, George?
George LaBonte,
Hey,
nice to know you.
Ren Stanley, nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you, man. What a boat you got here.
Thank you so much.
I can't even believe how nice this boat turned out.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed myself. Not to be too biased, but it takes a lot of work for one guy.
I'm sure. I can't even imagine starting from scratch. My first impression of this boat is what a great design it is for a guide taking two anglers in a really shallow water. Ren has hit a home run with this boat. The layout looks exactly the way I would like to have a boat to do just what he does with it. We're sitting on your boat here, Ren. This is a 17-foot boat. There's only one like it. You've been guiding in Chokoloskee, and you're on a production kind of boat and decided, I'm gonna build a boat that I like just the way I like it.
Basically, that was the goal. This time around, I wanted to build something drier, faster, easier to pull, and thankfully, we've achieved that.
This boat is completely original. I mean, this is a fiberglass hull that you built from scratch. Tell me about the process. I mean, how did you figure out how to do it? I mean, you didn't have a mold to start with.
I've discovered you can build a scalable model. So you build the small version first, and then you're like, all right, well, this is the way it's gonna look.
This is what I want my boat to look like.
Right. And so this is what I did. Basically,
this is the actual model that started you building this boat.
It all started on the coffee table. Everything's done at Hobby Lobby. Basically, I got the shape that I wanted. The bow rise here was gonna be, way back behind. There's gonna be a lot of skiff over the bow rise, and that's what I wanted. And I wanted a little bit of a dead rise. Now, it's not much, it's only 8 degrees. So these little stations here all have measurements, and this is 17 inches long. Well, this is a 17-foot skiff.
There's no inch to a foot.
Inch to a foot. And instead of the wood planks here, we have foam core. The whole skiff is composite foam core built, save weight, whatnot. Fishing that we do is light tackle, shallow water, stalking game fish.
No
for the
bait
most
fishing.
part. No bait fishing. The deck here, I tried to cut it back to where there was easy access to the rods, where I could reach down and grab them instead of reaching up under the gunnels to get that.
That is a very cool design feature right there that I have not seen on a boat. I mean, this, not only are you providing access to those rods, but it opens up the space when you're working around here too, and it narrows down in the front, and you've got more gunnel width. I mean, you can walk around on it. It's ingenious, man.
So everybody's got a cooler, but what I designed was a cooler that had a divider in there, so there's wet cool, And then on the other side is dry cool. So you put your sandwiches and guys can put their chips and everything and not worry about getting wet. The platform is an extended platform. You can see how much higher it is over the motor than a lot of factory platforms. I can see a lot better. The front platform obviously is where guys stand up and strip the line around you and onto the deck. Then everything is contained and you can make more cast and not be hung up instead of looking at the fish and trying to worry about what kind of knot you got in your line before you're throwing. So a lot of it was thought out. The splash rails on the underneath side.
Very unique.
They're like 9-10 inches wide past the hull.
With a curve too.
With a curve too, so it's redirecting the splash flow.
So tell me about, you went with the 70 here. I mean, obviously all the horsepower you need. This boat, we were doing what today, about 40 miles an hour? Yeah, with just you and me, it's 40 miles an hour. Which is, stellar speed for this size boat. For a tiller boat, for me, I got kind of a bad back, so I like to be able to lean back and, man, you see me riding around this thing. It's so much more comfortable than like a grab bar.
I feel like I'm at home watching TV, but this is the best TV on earth,
That is incredibly clever. Let me recap today. We saw a couple of nice snooks, one probably 34, 36 inch fish.
Yeah, that was a tank. That 35,
it was a good one
34, 35
for
incher.
this part of the world, a good fish.
Yeah, exactly.
We saw numerous redfish, including a couple of nice, upper to overslot size reds. And at the end of the day, we landed on a flounder and a ladyfish or two and a jack.
Well, we showed the boat what it's designed to do, to float shallow and to go into these places where we can target game fish in these, hunting-like scenarios, and that's what it's all about.
That's it.
Having fun.
Can I get a rain check?
Yes, of course.
For a day when it's at least in the 60s or 70s?
Yeah, we'll come back in the summertime.
Let's plan on it, man. You come snook fish with me in Jupiter.
I will, I will.
Buddy.
I'd love to.
All right, it's a deal.
All right, thanks, George.
After spending $5,000 in materials, $9,000 on an engine, and $9,000 on a trailer, rigging, and custom modifications, the cost of Ren's Dreamboat comes to a total of $23,000. When we come back, Brian and the rigging crew at MCU work to put the finishing touches on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project. This segment brought to you by All Grip. Let your imagination run wild.
All Grip is the premier yacht coating that delivers the distinctive, high-gloss, long-lasting finish for pleasure boats big and small. Make your boat look beautiful while protecting it against the elements with an endless possibility of color choices. Let your imagination run wild.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as the rigging crew at MCU nears completion on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project.
So apparently the guys figured it out. They didn't have a problem hanging that motor on the back of the Whaler, which I'm pretty happy and excited about. But I'm gonna tell you something. I started looking at all these components going on the boat. The Armstrong ladder off to the side, that thing's looking really good. This boat didn't have a ladder like that before. It had one of those little swing up ladders with a platform in the back, and it was horrible. She's gonna love this new boat. I can't wait to see her excitement. Steve should be wrapped up pretty soon. Vic should be wrapping up without upholstery, and this thing's gonna be ready for the water pretty soon.
Okay, the Whaler's coming along really good. I'm pleased at the amount of work I've got done on it in a short period of time, and I've just got a couple things to button up on it. I've got to secure the switch panel. I usually don't secure them completely until the last thing, make sure everything works. And it's really cool, this switch panel, we got it to light up blue LED lights, so when you turn your nav lights switch to the navigation position, it lights that panel up so you can really see what every switch is for at night. Okay, I set the leaning post up in the boat and I marked my holes. In the cloths area, they had already did the measurements and everything and sort of left me some markings to where it was gonna go. So I'm gonna pre-drill my hole, and I got good fresh wood that I'm going into now other than the rotten wood that was in there. To prevent that from happening again, after I pre-drill my holes, I am gonna put a good bead of 5200 not only around the edge of the leaning post base, but also into the holes. That way when the screws go down there, they're gonna be good and sealed. They're not gonna allow no moisture to get in and cause that wood to start decaying and rotting again. As I'm installing it, I'm getting it mounted, and then I'm gonna go with my rod holders, and I'm looking, wow. they messed up. These rod holders aren't going to work. I'm looking at that landing post thinking, well, I'm going to have to re-angle the holes in it, but they're hitting. There's nothing I can do, you know, other than cutting the base off, which I'm not going to do that.
Steve came into my office and he's wanting to know about the rod holders, that they're not fitting. And he's talking to me about how we can cut the holes and change the angle and everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? I'm like, do you have the right rod holder? So I simply had to walk out there and explain to him and Dave, that we're both having an issue trying to figure this out, that it was just the wrong angle rod holder. I handed him the right one, it dropped right in a hole.
Oh, well, no big deal. You know, I didn't really pay attention to the angle on them. I was going to try to utilize them, and somebody gave me the wrong ones. So I got the correct ones and mounted them, and everything's good to go now.
I was getting so excited about this chair that I actually wanted to go in the back and give Vic a hand putting everything together. I knew he didn't have the backrest arms yet installed, so I went back, gave him a hand putting them on. Those things came out awesome. The two-tone paint up against the vinyl just looked incredible. And after we took everything apart and rebuilt it all, everything's functioning and working just like new. Let me tell you something, you guys at home don't realize. I told Michelle in the beginning that she could save some money by rebuilding this chair instead of buying a new one, and I really bit off more than I could chew. I probably should have just let her buy a new chair. It would have been so much easier for me, but I had to do the right thing. I was already committed to this project. We spent a lot of time taking it apart, redoing it, and let me tell you what, at the end of the day, it's really paying off. I mean, for the final project, to have this chair installed and be part of this original boat that her kids are in playing with, this is gonna be the coup de grace. I can't wait to see it done.
When we return, Brian at MCU meets with Dave Osgood, who's looking to have his rundown 20-foot Shamrock brought back to life. This segment brought to you by Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it.
Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. As a supplier of over 200 leading boat builders, at Boat Outfitters we understand what it takes to have a successful day on the water. That's why we offer hundreds of tackle storage systems and the ability to design custom tackle centers to your specifications. From plier and leader holders to custom tackle boxes and fillet tables, Boat Outfitters has what you need to customize and organize your boat to your unique fishing style. Is your boat ready? Visit BoatOutfitters.com.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as Dave Osgood stops by MCU for a full evaluation of his 20-foot Shamrock with a complete restoration in his sights.
So I got a call from a guy named Dave Osgood. I've never met the guy before. He called me out of the blue. He just bought a 20-foot Shamrock because he wants to completely redo it. Now here's a guy, he didn't go out and buy a brand new boat. He bought an old boat with the lines and the style that he wants, and he wants to make it something unique to him and personalize it. Those are my type of customers. Those are the boats I can really have fun with. Being that it's an inboard boat, it's not my specialty, but I'm interested in seeing this boat. I've got some visions in my head, and I think we could really make this thing something special.
This one caught my eye. It's an interesting little project. Inboard straight shaft, 360-degree accessibility. What I really want to do is get you and your team to kind of give a deep dive, make sure I got good sound foundation, good stringers. The obvious thing is it's got a blown 302 now.
Blown motor, now this is turning into an inboard repower. Again, this is not my specialty. I think it's possible Dave might have bit off more than he could chew. All right, Dave, now when you picked this boat up, did you realize this whole console is made out of starboard?
Yeah, I did.
And it's encapsulating the whole engine. So the thing's gonna get hot, it's gonna move, it's gonna expand, contract. We gotta get rid of the starboard console.
I'm with you.
What is that thing the steering wheel's mounted to? The console's made out of starboard. I've never seen that before, the whole console. So there's your first big ticket item. The boat's gonna need a console. We're not fixing the starboard console. So Dave, we're gonna get rid of that console. We're doing a new fiberglass console. The biggest thing outside of that is gonna be this engine.
Right.
What does this thing look like?
Come take a look. What you have here
Is insulation.
is some junk. You have a 1983 blown 302.
He opens the door, I look in, the motor's been taken apart like years ago. This thing's in, I don't know how many pieces. It's ridiculous. This thing is getting scarier and scarier the more I look at it. And before that new engine goes in, Dave, we're gonna be rewiring this boat completely, okay?
Yeah, I think so. Looks a little bit like a spider web in there.
Oh yeah, man. This is, 25 years of everybody that's owned this boat working on it. You even have some house wire in here, solid strand copper. Unbelievable.
Paid extra for that, I'm sure.
That's the stuff they use to power outlets in a house. That's not for a boat. I can't believe it. There's wire nuts. This boat is a complete abomination. We need to totally de-rig it, totally strip it, take it completely apart. All right, Dave, after that evaluation, we got to really talk some serious things about that budget, because I think there's a lot more going on here than you anticipated.
There might be.
What were you thinking when you came down here today?
Well, you know, it's kind of a moving target, but I was hoping to get in around 15, 18.
Okay. Is that like we're going to salvage the old motor and you've got some Marvel Mistral to free up the pistons? What are we thinking? How are you going to do that for 15 grand?
Well, I don't even know what a total repower is going to be. You know.
Right, without me being a total wise guy, just being serious here, the motor's probably 10 grand right off the bat. If we go the fuel injection, we could save some dollars here and there, but you're talking full exhaust. I mean, this thing, forget about it.
Right.
Then we've got all these other things we came across, and the major things are structural stuff and changed out that console. I've got to really sit down and probably write some things down, but you need to leave here today probably envisioning and thinking you're going to be probably double what you're walking in the door thinking.
Wow, that's a little more than I was hoping, but you know, let's see what you come up with and go from there.
All right. Like I said, Dave, I'll sharpen my pencil the best I can. There's just a whole lot of things going on here, and at the end of the day, time is money.
It is, and I think this thing has potential to be a real gem, so let's see where it goes.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
Sounds good. At the end of the day, this is a huge financial decision. I'm sure Dave has to go home and talk to his wife, figure things out. He came in here thinking one thing and left realizing something totally different. I hope he's able to do it, though. This boat could really come out nice. All right, so I got the call from Dave with the 20-foot Shamrock. He's a go. I was glad to hear. I'm excited to do this boat. I'm gonna get the guys together, I'm gonna throw them in this boat. I wanna rip it apart right away, and I'm gonna figure out and make sure we got some good bones in this boat.
We just received this Shamrock, and it's going to be a total refit, repower, overlooking some of the wiring that's in the console. I mean, there's house wire in there, speaker wire they use for power, just total disaster. So I'm not worried about the crew getting this disassembled for me because there's nothing in there I'm going to reuse. It's all being trashed. This engine was locked up. It'd been neglected and just sitting off in some pasture somewhere, so it was totally ruined. There was no fixing this engine. Fortunately for this one, it was just a small block inboard. We just had to undo the exhaust, undo the raw water hose, and then undo the mounts, get a forklift over here, put a chain on it, and we're gonna pull the tranny and the engine all out in one quick move.
All right, finally, the Shamrock's de-rigged. We've got it gutted. It's completely empty. All the major components are out of the boat. It's time to get into the glass shop. I'm gonna have Roberto look this thing over real good. We're gonna make sure the bones of the boat are in good shape and this boat's ready to be rebuilt.
Next week on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. The 20-foot Shamrock project is moving along. It seems to be ready to enter the painting stages. But has the crew made a costly mistake? Florida Sportsman boating editor George LaBonte heads offshore with Craig Brunstein to put his custom 26-foot Mako to the test. And the crew at MCU races to get the 18-foot Boston Whaler wrapped up and ready for owner Michelle Shiros' first sea trial. The filming of Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat has been shot on location at Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it.